Hello, everybody, and welcome. Welcome to our webinar about stable accounts. I'm David Eckhoff, your MC for today. To kick things off, I'm the head of the Accelerator Programs and Operations at Synergies Works. And Synergies Work, our mission is to unleash the power of entrepreneurship among persons with disabilities by providing opportunities and leveling the playing field for equal talent and closing the network gaps. And just briefly, Synergies Work is the largest startup hub in the United States for disability-led businesses. We served over 300 founders through our business accelerator programs and our community hub. And by supporting founders at every stage in their journey, we're building an entrepreneurial ecosystem for disabled founders to thrive. So enough about Synergies Work. Let's get to why you're actually here, which is to learn about stable accounts. Our topic today is financial empowerment with stable accounts. This is important to us because three reasons. First, stable accounts help people with disabilities to save without losing benefits like SSI and Medicaid. Second, increased awareness of stable accounts helps individuals and families access a financial tool for better planning and security. And finally, this is important to us because understanding stable accounts better empowers people to build and sustain their businesses while maintaining financial security and independence. Our speakers, we have three speakers today. We're making a triple. Our speakers today are well qualified to talk about this topic. They work every day in the office of the Ohio Treasurer, specializing in the Stable Account Program. They serve as director of the Stable Account Program, operations manager of the Stable Account Program, and externals affairs manager of the Stable Account Program. They are the experts on this topic. And I ask you to please help me welcome our three speakers, Kenyatta Chandler, Thomas Hatch, and Elena Bowers. Who do we have kicking it off?
Yeah, that would be me. Dave, definitely appreciate that introduction. And we'll definitely kind of fulfill that expertise title that you provided onto us. So once again, my name is Kenyatta Chandler, Director of the Stable Account here at the Ohio Treasurer's Office. What I'd like to do, just to kind of kick this off, you will have some opportunities to ask questions at the end of our brief presentation. So please, there's an opportunity to put some in the chat, but we'll definitely spend some time afterwards answering any questions that you may have about what you hear today. So I will kick it off with just a brief introduction to what is an ABLE account and who we are at Stable. So great. Dave did a great introduction in what is an ABLE account. It is a tax-free savings and investment account, which allows individuals with disabilities to save and invest without impacting their benefits. And that's the core purpose. In the past, individuals were not able to save and have assets above a $2,000 limit. But now with an ABLE account, that's possible. And this wasn't possible just over 10 years ago. So we'll say still in our infancy in what our program provides. So just over 10 years ago, the federal government started this opportunity for individuals called the ABLE Act, which means the Achieving a Better Life Experience, and also allowed states to create and manage their own program. We'll go to the next slide here. So as far as who we are at Stable Account, we are a national plan, which means we have accounts in all 50 states. Although based out of Ohio, we do have a great partnership with 11 other states that utilize the resources and the benefits from a Stable Account program. As mentioned, we're administered within the Ohio Treasurer's Office. Although the ABLE Act was enacted back in 2014, us, The Ohio program launched in June of 2016, which results in, we're as we said, the first program and the most used ABLE program in America. Next slide. Just a little bit more about stable account and what we do on a daily basis. We do focus on outreach across the state and also partner in some cases with our 11 partner states. We have some great testimonials, and you'll hear a little bit about that later today. We focus in on education about ABLE and its benefits. We do have some great partnerships and across the state that are definitely advocating for our account owners. As I mentioned before, we are celebrating our 9th anniversary with Stable Account, and glad to hear and let you know we have over 46,000 account owners across all of the 50 states that I mentioned, including DC, which also results in over $500 million. I like to say that over $500 million in assets, actually around 545 million in assets under management for the program. We'll go to the next slide. And this is truly, what we emphasize. What are the benefits? What are the benefits of having a stable account? It's truly from the account owner or the family or the organizations that support individuals that have a stable account, is truly that ownership, including the opportunity to really feel that self-esteem by having that account, and getting back to kind of the purpose and some of the discussions we're going to have today around financial empowerment. It does also allow that individual with a stable account or family member that's managing the account on behalf of the account owner, that financial independence and planning. And since we're talking about individuals that have stable accounts and also individuals that may be out working in the community, this is one of our account owners here. The gentleman's name is Kyle McKay. He's a staff photographer for a local organization here in Central Ohio, but also he's an entrepreneur. He's a business owner that's taking advantage of having a stable account. So just to give you that kind of summarized version of what an ABLE account is and what a stable account does, and truly how we are supporting ABLE and stable account owners across the country. So I will gladly hand the baton over to Tom Hatch, and he'll tell you how all this works.
Great. Thank you, Kenyatta. Yes, Kenyatta went over some of the background, and I'll take some time to go over some of the requirements and other things that you may want to consider if you believe that a stable account would be a great option for you. So the first thing that most people want to know about is what are the eligibility requirements? These are requirements that were set through the federal law that came out, and there's two main pieces that you need to know about. The first one highlighted here is that the individual must have developed their disability before the age of 26. Now that, by the way, that particular age range will be updating to 46 starting in January of 2026. So what this really means is, as long as you have proof or evidence that disability began or started, or the onset of it was before the age of 26, you are eligible according to that requirement. Now, if somehow it happened after 26 but before 46, wait until January, and then you can come on board and be a part of the program starting January 1st, 2026. So the diagnosis can happen at any time. The person can be of any age, just as long as there's evidence that the disability itself began before that age requirement. If you meet the age requirement, then the second major piece, as listed here on the slide, is one of the following: either being eligible to receive SSI or SSDI, so you can be eligible or actively receiving it, having a condition that's listed on the Social Security Administration's list of compassionate allowances conditions, or self-certification, which essentially means you've gone to a certified physician who can write you a note essentially saying that, yes, I am evidence that this individual had a disability that began before the age requirement. Once you've done the eligibility, then who can enroll? So there's really two primary parties that can enroll. So you as the individual with the disability or the individual with the disability can enroll and manage the account themselves. We call them the account holder. The account is always registered in their name and social security number, and the account belongs to them. Now, if the individual with a disability either doesn't have the capacity to manage their own account or doesn't want to manage their own account, there can be an authorized legal representative, we call that ALR for short, that can be assigned to manage the account for them. Again, still registered in their name and social, but the individual can be authorized to manage. The list here of individuals and or situations that would be authorized to do so. That could be a agent under a power of attorney, a conservator or legal guardian, a spouse, a parent, a sibling, a grandparent, or a Social Security representative payee. So any of those individuals could open and manage the account for that individual if they desire not to, or if there's a situation in which they just simply don't have the capacity to do so. Final, or not finally, but another important one is how much can be contributed to these accounts on an annual basis. Again, this is set by the federal legislation that was passed. There's two main limits that you need to focus on, and really the second of these I think will be really relevant for those on today. So there's a general annual contribution limit this year in 2025 of $19,000, and that can come from any source. That can be from your own bank account. It can be from gifts from other people. It can be employers putting money into your account if there was a situation where they're able to do so. We'll highlight something like that later. So any of those can come in and fill up that $19,000 limit. But if you are employed, including self-employed or an entrepreneur, you have an additional special limit that you can go beyond that $19,000, and that would be funded with some of those employment earnings. So if you can show that any time within the year you earned up to $15,060, then up to that amount could be put in addition to the 19,000, so that if you were able to do both, the maximum you could put in for this year would be $34,060. So the one thing I want you to understand about that additional limit is that it's based upon the amount of earnings that you've made in your employment. And so it's the lesser of, how much you've earned up to a maximum of 15,060. And another important one is your employment earnings don't have to be what goes into the account at the time. You just have to prove that you've had that amount of earnings when the monies are accounted for in the account. It's kind of a little nuance there, but I think it's important. And then how can you get that money from your employer or from yourself or from other people into the account? So we have four primary ways. Checks are still used, so a check can be sent in to our program manager and can be deposited there. We have a gifting feature. A link can be sent from the account holder to other people. They can click on the link, set up information to be able to electronically transfer funds to them in the form of a gift. We have electronic funds transfer, which would be your simple connecting a personal banking account, checking or savings, and moving money back and forth that way. And then we have payroll and SSI direct deposit. And even with SSI, I'll say SSA. So any benefit program that the Social Security Administration offers, it can be set up for those funds to be directly deposited into our account. That would include SSI, SSDI, and other programs. Or from an employer, you can set up a portion or all, if you so choose, of your payroll to be directly deposited as well. These are our four primary sources that we see people contributing to their accounts. Spending from your account, we have three primary ways that you can spend. These are active accounts. They can be used for long-term savings, but can also be used for short-term needs. So you can transfer money from the stable account back to a personal checking or savings account should it be attached. We have a feature within the system where you can have what we call a third-party check. So you can have a check sent from our program manager to yourself or to a third party, like a vendor that you want to make a payment to, and that can be sent directly from your account to that. So it's kind of like a bill pay. And then we have the stable Visa card, which is also a great tool in which you can load the card with funds from your account. It's a stored value card. The only value on the card is monies that have been transferred there, and then you can use it just like a Visa card anywhere where Visa is accepted to pay for your expenses. What can you spend your funds on? The biggest thing about this slide I want you to really focus on is the definition right underneath the title there, and that is that the expense must relate to the disability, or I like to say it must be spent on the individual with a disability to help them. This is their money, and it needs to be used for their benefit, and also to help maintain or improve the health, independence, or quality of life of that individual. Now, I wanted to express that because health, independence, or quality of life to maintain or improve is a very broad definition. We've put some examples on the screen, and these are examples that the Social Security Administration lists on their website, but by no means is that an exhaustive list. These are just examples, and really, if you can justify that any expense is being used for the benefit of the individual with a disability and will help maintain or improve their health, independence, or quality of life, it is a qualified expense. And as a qualified expense, it is tax-free, meaning there will be no taxation of that money coming out of the account. And then finally, before we toss it over to Elena, what do we do when we get the contributions into our account? This is, as Kenyatta mentioned, a savings and investment account. So we currently have one savings option and 4 investment options. So on the slide from the left to right, your gray circle there is called Bank Safe. That is our FDIC insured like savings option. You put money in there, it's not going to be subject to fluctuations of the stock market. And believe me, if anybody's been watching recently, there's been lots of fluctuations. So it's safe, it's insured, and it's actually getting a very good rate of return on that option right now, over 4%. Last time I looked, it was closer to about 4.5% on an annual yield basis. So not too bad for a product that has the safety that it does. And then we have the 4 other pre-established portfolios. These come through Vanguard Mutual Funds, one of the largest, most well-respected mutual fund companies in the country, which is also a very low-cost company. So not only do you get a pre-established portfolio with stocks and bonds in it, all the way from sort of a conservative on the income option all the way up to the growth option, which is more aggressive. But it comes with low fees and a very reputable company behind it. And so you can put your money into one of these, into all of them, however you want to move the money around. They're all options for you. And we think this is a great feature of the account. Now, with that, I'll send it over to Elena Bowers for the next piece of our presentation.
Awesome. Thank you, Tom. All right, so I know on my end, I'm seeing some Q&A come in. I won't open that up just since I'm sharing my screen, but feel free to put any more questions in the chat. And then I think with some time left over in a little bit, if anyone wants to, we can go through some of the other questions that have come in. But and then of course, our last slide is going to have our contact information. So if you do have other questions, or if you want to reach out to our team, bring us in for any other type of presentations, we're definitely here to be an assistance. So with that, I will definitely go into the end of our presentation, which is probably the most important piece for this audience and everything that Synergies Work is doing in their community across the country, is how do we empower and protect entrepreneurs and employees that have disabilities and possibly are on benefits. So this slide is a great kind of representation of how a lot of entrepreneurs and employees are thinking of long-term goals. And if you are an entrepreneur and you are starting your own business, that's obviously such an incredible goal to have. And so there's a lot that goes into that. It's about, where is the money going to come from? Do I need to pull out other investments? Do I need to work with, a family member or other, employees to get my business up and running, and what that looks like? And, anyone that has started a business or has kind of done their own endeavor knows that there's a lot of long-term planning that goes involved with it. So we're happy to say that ABLE accounts and stable account are really, it's a great vehicle to be able to rely on and use for any type of goals that you might have. So really for our, direct connection to employees and employers in the disability community. We want to ensure that they know all about our program to support their employees with knowing about our program, because they can use our direct deposit feature. They can start thinking about even retirement savings. And then, of course, any other goals that come along the way, whether that's business or personal as well. So if there is somebody that currently has a stable account and they are thinking about, starting their own business, or let's say they, got this great, summer job and they're thinking about staying on full time and they're kind of worried about their income level because they're on benefits. Hopefully now you have an understanding that stable account is that protected place where the funds can be contributed into, they can grow over time, or they can really sit there and be used on day-to-day expenses through our Visa card as well. But with stable account, if you do have a business that you're trying to get off the ground, you can use the funds in there for different types of expenses related to the business. You can organize your funds in a certain way as well. If you have other types of bank accounts that are used for other expenses or other types of bills or anything that's more personal, you can always transfer funds out of those accounts and put them in the stable accounts and kind of rely more on the stable account funds for more longer term goals as well. The next slide is actually going to showcase one of our local partners that are doing some incredible work in the employment space to empower people with disabilities to start thinking about retirement. So I'm excited to share that at the next slide. But overall, we just know that there's a lot that goes into planning for your business, your personal goals as well. And there's a lot of ways that you can, withdraw funds for different expenses. You can, set up different savings goals as well. And it's a place where your funds can be protected, ensure that you can reach your goals in different ways as well. So we want to ensure that if there's other things that, any entrepreneurs on the call have questions about, if there's any employers that are on the call that you have questions about, how to set up direct deposit, that is one of our biggest initiatives in our office, is connecting more with employers so that they're understanding of what direct deposit is. We really want to make sure that you have all of our resources to help your employees reach any type of goal that they might have. So our next slide, and I know that he's on the call because I saw him sign in early, is all about UCO Industries. So UCO Industries is a local employer outside of Columbus, Ohio. That's where we're located. We're a national program, but our team is out of Columbus, Ohio. And UCO Industries is an incredible organization. They do great work within the community. And what they do is they allow their employees, depending on what their financial goals are, but basically they were the first employer in the country to offer an employee match to their eligible employees into a stable account. So this was back in 2018, and they allow their employees to choose between a 4% match in either a typical 401k that you might see at a more full-time positions, or a 4% contribution into a stable account. So depending on which option aligns best with their long-term goals, if they're eligible, that's sort of the vision that Dave kind of went into this back in 2018. And I know that right now UCO Industries is one of the only employers across the country that has been able to successfully launch this and promote this. And that's incredible, because currently if there is an employee that has a disability and they are on benefits, they're really trying to ensure that they don't go over their resource limits, and they have this great full-time job, they might not be able to contribute into a 401k. They might not be able to look at other options with investments because they're worried about going over those limits. Obviously, having a stable account can be a vehicle to contribute funds in over time. That money can grow, and that can also serve as a retirement account for long-term goals. But the fact that UCO Industries is leading that charge and offering that right off the bat to their employees during the onboarding process is just incredible. We were there last year. We were able to do a tour with them and meet some of the employees. And the one thing that I just felt so passionate, I could just feel the passion from Dave and their employees, was that it's a community. I mean, a lot of their employees this is the place that they go every week. They meet their friends. They're part of a mission. You know, they're physically working, and they support actually Honda. The Honda Corporation headquarters is in Marysville, Ohio. And so they are supporting some of the work that Honda has contracted with them to do. So it's just an incredible inclusive place to work. And it really just brings so much to the community together. And I'm just so happy that Dave is a partner with our program, but also being a leader in this space. So if you're interested in learning more about kind of the operations behind what they do, how they were able to do this, please reach out to us, because we want to ensure that more employers are aware that this is an option. I mean, this is something that you can offer to your employees, and it just continues to empower those individuals to seek employment opportunities and to have a safe place to work as well. Just some great facts and figures down here at the bottom of what UCO Industries has been able to do. Since 2018, since the launch of this initiative, they've been able to contribute a total of $219,000 into stable accounts, which is amazing. So there's, I don't know the number. I think that they have over 40 employees that are contributing into our program. And I know that with Dave's efforts, they're really trying to, encourage more employment and to have this be a place that, employees can be confident to work in. So we're just so proud of that. And I know that there's a lot of employers across the country that are, making a point to employ people with disabilities. And so the more that they're aware of what able accounts are, that this is an option for people to have a place that they can put their funds into. It just is another resource and another great positive way that we can include everybody to have a place that they can work and feel empowered, and also reach their financial goals as well. So we're appreciative of Dave being on the call. Obviously, we're kind of short on time. Otherwise, we probably would have brought him in to say hello to this and give sort of his testimonial to it. But if you want to learn more about UCO Industries, we actually did do a video with them last year. So on our website, under the resource tab, there is a great page of a ton of testimonials to learn more about our program and just what our account holders are able to accomplish in different ways. And we have a great employer spotlight about UCO Industries as well. So our website is a great place to kind of see where everything that we talked about is housed. There's so much more about our program, so many great resources, anything related to eligibility and enrollment, investments. We have a lot more details about our investments on our website as well. But also our email address is here. So if you are a self-advocate or an employer within the community and you want to learn more about our program, please reach out to us. We would love to do some, in-depth webinars, depending on where we are. We're always traveling around the state of Ohio in different ways, but because we have partner states, that's also welcoming to connecting more with, your ABLE program in your state as well. So please reach out to us if you have other questions. I know that we're kind of close to the time, so I just wanted to thank everyone for being on the webinar, and I wanted to thank all the team at Synergies Work for including us for this. We hope that we can continue to do more webinars with them and just promote our program. I know this was very specific to employees and entrepreneurship and workplace empowerment, but just know that this program, there are so many families that have been able to use this account for different, long-term, short-term goals. So many self-advocates rely on this program because it's their only really bank option that they're currently using. And we've made so many operational enhancements to ensure that you're able to rely on this account for day-to-day expenses and bill pay. But overall, it's a great opportunity to think about short-term, long-term goals. And really, it fits in so many different demographics, so many different situations. And we want to make sure that anyone that's eligible has the opportunity to learn more about what ABLE accounts are. So hopefully this webinar was informative and we didn't rush through too much. But again, please visit our website. We've got some great resources on there. And hopefully we got some good Q&A as well. If anything we didn't cover, if you have further questions, feel free to send us an email.